All right, welcome into the Candy Ticket Podcast. I'm your co-host Mike, along with Chuck here.
Hey,
What's going on, Chuck?
cats, cool cats and kittens. Detective Cole Rust here, Louisiana's finest.
Louisiana.
I'm going to Louisiana this weekend.
Are you now?
Baton Rouge.
There you go.
Gonna go to the LSU A&M game.
Oh man, that'll be good. Sure, you'll enjoy that victory as an LSU fan.
11 a.m. kickoff. So I can't even enjoy the fun
tailgating.
Nighttime
tailgating. No way. Dude, 11 a.m. games are the hardest to go to. I remember in college just being like, yeah, I'm going to get up to go to a 9 a.m. game to watch A&M play against like New Mexico. No, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's funny because like every game we've been to at ULM, Louisiana, is like at 6 p.m. and Dylan said like all their home games are at 6. They never have an afternoon game. That's amazing. At 6. Yeah,
everybody should do that.
But I think they're usually just on like ESPN Plus, so it's not like they don't have time crunches because it's just streaming.
There's no primetime matchup. Yeah,
you're the Sun Belt game of the week on ABC.
Oh shit! Well, that'll be fun, man. Yeah, never been to Death Valley. Always been on my bucket list to go check it out. Definitely one of the top games. So probably have to do that next year at some point.
Yeah. Well, next year isn't the A&M UT rivalry coming back?
It is, and it's going to be in College Station.
Oh,
I may not. I was all hyped up to go, but I may not go because I'm not feeling too good about where we're going. unless they just throw like $30 million a year at Kirby Smart, I don't think we're going to win next year.
Why would he leave a school that he's like they've won like 28 straight SEC games or something? And
I mean, what else is there to do?
That's true.
He's won back-to-backs. He'll probably three-peat. I mean, if he wants to say he's as good as Saban, he's got to go win a championship at another school.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. Michigan's going to win this year.
Oh, dude, don't. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Bunch of sign-stealing fucks.
Oh, don't worry, though. Before I gave up Twitter like 3 days ago, there's people, like, I was arguing with people, Michigan fans talking about how Georgia's not really that good, because they don't play any competition. And I'm like, you guys were saying beating Penn State was like the best win of anybody of the year. And I'm like, Penn State would be like 6th in the SEC East and West. Like,
yeah, for real. Yeah.
So
it's so bad. Yeah.
Like Iowa scores like 2 points a game and is ranked like 16th in the country,
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah. That's a Big Ten ball for you.
I sent my friend Nate in Illinois a picture at halftime. I think it was like Iowa's up like 5-0 or something on Illinois. It was like 5-3 or something. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Well, because he was like, "Oh, U of H is winning at halftime." It was like 23-19 or something. I'm like, "Hey, look at this game. Iowa's winning 5-3."
Oh, dude, yeah. Can't believe college football's almost over. We've got rivalry week coming up, and then conference championships, and then bowl season, which I haven't really given a shit about until the playoffs now. So we'll have some time before that. But
yeah, I used to watch all the bowl games, but now I don't really.
Yeah, I'm not watching 5 and 7 teams squeak into a bowl game to watch them play Troy. I'm not doing
it. Hey, don't sleep on Troy.
Well, that's true, man. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, man, a lot of football going on. Chiefs Eagles is on right now, actually, as well. Since we're recording this on Monday. You've been watching some good stuff recently, though.
Yeah, I've been watching I've been watching like a lot of kind of World War II stuff. I don't really know what got me in that kick, but watched a limited series called All the Light We Cannot See, which is actually a book as well. It takes place in Saint Malo, France, which I understand you've been to. You spent a week there, right?
Yep.
And it's really good. It's got Hugh Laurie and Mark Ruffalo. And so it's about World War II and Nazi invasion and a blind girl basically radio signaling positions for Americans. So a lot more nuances and detail than that, but that's kind of the story. But it's really good.
I'll have to check that out.
I was reading some interesting negative reviews about the show, but people were comparing it to the book. You know, like the show kind of doesn't go as in depth as the book, but I mean, they never do when it's based on a book.
No, that's common. Yeah, the adaptation just never is 100%. Yeah.
No. So, and then a couple other series related to World War II is like Hitler's Circle of Evil or something like that.
Yep.
On Netflix.
That's a good one.
That was really good. And then the greatest events of World War II in color.
I love that one.
So it's really good. And then a little bit of culture. We went to a Hans Zimmer with this candlelight event in Houston at the Lone Star Flight Museum.
That's right.
It was the music of Hans Zimmer played like by four. It was like a violin, a cello, and two other string instruments. I don't know, but did all these different Hans Zimmer. You know, it's a famous movie score. Instant a lot of Christopher Nolan music. So
he's the GOAT of movie scores. Yeah.
So him and John Williams, I think, are the two main, big time.
Yep.
But it was cool because they did stuff from Dunkirk, Inception, Interstellar, Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dark Knight. I think Wonder Woman.
I think I saw on the list they did Dune as well.
Dune, yeah. And a couple others, but it was really good. So they have a couple more in Houston if you're interested.
Nice, yeah. I'll have to check that out. I'd love to see that. I know Jackie was working, so we no way we're going to make that, but definitely want to see that. I bet it was amazing at the Flight Museum.
It was, and it was. There you can actually pay to get a ride in some of those vintage planes.
Yeah. That's on the list. My granddad, I think, did that for his 70th birthday. He went up in a B-24. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on the list to do. It's so sick.
Yeah. So, and they're fairly reasonable. I think depending on what plane you get on, you can have like this one plane was like $450. It's basically like an hour, but you can have 5 people on there. And then the one we wanted to do was like, it was like an open air 2-seater with a pilot, and you're sitting behind the pilot.
So sick.
They don't do that in like the winter time or certain times of year, but that was really cool. But yeah. So that's kind of culturally and television wise what I've been up to. Besides, we're going to talk about a little bit with the For All Mankind. But what about you? What are you watching?
Just finished Loki. Watched the series finale. Maybe they're kind of tight-lipped about it, but they're ending it. It's the last one. It's a really good ending for the show if it is. And then watching the new Frasier on Paramount. And his ex-wife Lilith makes an appearance, and it's hilarious. The show's gotten better as it's gone along, so really enjoying that. As a big fan of the old show.
BB Newirth.
Yeah.
I like
so funny, so dry.
I like when she did that on was on Cheers and stuff.
Yep. So. Yeah, watching that, and then I got to keep going. But you and Marcos, our buddy from work, started watching Bodies, and I only watched the first episode. It's bonkers.
I was blanking on that so hard. I was like, there's something I watched that was like wild. Yeah. Gotta watch Bodies if you're listening to us.
Yeah, if you guys made it this far in the podcast, it's about a body showing up in like 4 or 5 different timelines. like
4 different
points in
timelines.
time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like what it all goes through. So
It's
I'll
got
finish
time
watching that,
travel.
and we gotta just do a whole episode about it.
Yeah, when you finish it, we'll do because that was it's got so if you ever watched, you and I watched it, but Boardwalk Empire,
Yeah.
there's the guy that plays Al Capone, on Boardwalk Empire, Stephen Graham, and he's in this series and it's freaking amazing. He's amazing in Boardwalk Empire as Al Capone.
Yeah.
And he was in some other stuff, right? That you
Yeah, he was in
sent, or
something.
Marcos. But yeah.
Oh
Stephen
yeah, he was in The
Graham.
Irishman. Yeah, with
Oh yeah.
Pacino and
Yeah.
De Niro. Yeah.
But he was in so many things, a lot of English stuff, but like
Yeah.
Rocket Man. I don't remember a lot of the parts, but Gangs of New York, Band of Brothers, Greyhound.
Oh, he was in Band of Brothers. Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean movies. That's where I remember first saw him at. But
yeah,
yeah, he's just one of those guys. Now I know him. Now I know his name, but
his stock is pretty high.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bodies, that's really good. Hadn't been watching much else, just some football. I don't have anything else other than For All Mankind. We can jump into that if you don't have anything else.
Yeah, no, I think the only other thing is, we have a couple good shows coming up. We have Fargo.
Yeah.
Like, was it Chapter 5 coming out on the 21st, and then Slow Horses, and 10 days after that.
Yep. Oh, The Crown. The first part of the last season of The Crown is out. I haven't started it yet. It's on my start watching list this week. Just haven't had the time. But it's about Diana's death. So really interested to see how they close that out with the Queen just dying recently. So,
well, yeah, I would think they would go more seasons of The Crown to get it current at some point.
You would think,
but are they going to show how Diana really died, or what the media what the royal family wants to tell you?
It's a good question, because they've gone a little off script with some stuff about over heavy-handedly like threatening Diana. So they might show a little how the media doesn't want you to see it.
Oh.
But yeah, the guy that she was dating at the time, his dad just passed away too, and he owned like Tiffany, not Tiffany's, but he owned the Four Seasons in Paris and all this shit. Like, he was a wealthy guy, so pretty crazy how all that's like coming up now.
Okay.
But crazy. That was it. Other than For All Mankind.
Yeah, let's dig into For All Mankind.
Yeah, so I can run us through a breakdown of how the episode went. Hopefully it's not terribly long. I think I can get the highlights. And we can of course fill in as we go. But the new crew was on their way to Mars last time we saw them. And now they're on Mars. Miles Dale is the roughneck who's now going to go. He thinks harvest asteroids and things like that out in space. So they get to Happy Valley and they're debriefed and they're shown around the place, and they're showed like their new quarters, and like all the like help is on the third floor, like the bottom of the facility, and there's like no sunlight, like their food is crap, the bandwidth sucks, all of this stuff. And his roommates give him not as frosty a welcome as I thought they would. But there was that photo of who we come to find out was Tom Parker was like in his bunk, because apparently that was where he was staying at the time. And his like roommate like snatched it away from him before explaining it. Let's see.
Well, Miles, or as I like to call him, Billy Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a problem.
Oh yeah. Guy's not happy. He's the grumblings of revolt are already in the works.
Yeah.
Like the food sucks. Like the meatloaf looks like space rocks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we see whenever we go through the episode, I mean, you just started at the beginning, but things aren't what they seem, or seems that he was promised when he took the role, right? So after the guy died in the previous episode, we come to find out, and I don't like, how long do you think it takes to get to Mars? Like, he was just on Earth, right? So
well, with the new, so I would think, from what I remember of using the technology we have today, I think it takes like 8 to 9 months. But with the development of the new rocket that Dev has put together, or Helios, excuse me, not Dev anymore, they say they no longer have to wait for it to be in the window. So it's probably like somewhere in the range of like 3 months, probably. I would guess it could be less. I don't know.
Yeah, so he gets there, and he's he thinks he's going to be out like mining
on the surface,
asteroids, and on the surface, and they pretty much grounded that whole program after Ed's debacle. Ed's leadership ability causes him to lose 2 people during that situation. Coos and Bonus
Parker.
Man, Parker. Yeah. So we quickly find out things aren't as it seems. He's basically like an AC repairman for inside the facility, and doesn't get to go outside. And the episode kind of pulls you through, like, kind of like it reminds me of 2 things, like on the Titanic, like the people below deck and the people above deck, and kind of like at like regular employees versus C-suite employees, right? Yeah. So all the surface people, the astronauts, are up, and they're communicating with their families, and they can see outside, and all the kind of contractors are down below. It's almost like Silo too, like down at the bottom, like the serfs and the servants and the poor folk.
Just do your job.
Yeah, do your job. Don't ask questions. Your communications aren't working. And then it's great when Danielle gets up there, and when she learns that, Ed's like, "Oh, we can't. That doesn't matter. Like, I can communicate." And basically, like, who cares about the poor people?
Only critical mission communication. And Danielle's like, "Oh, so talking to Kelly is a critical mission," and he's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Thankfully, Danielle decides to send out a EVA. Are they called EVA?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And they repair the satellite, and I mean, you see the scene in this episode is like with Ed or whoever being in charge of Happy Valley, it's really like in shambles. The morale is low.
Danielle notices the morale is low. Like, the satellite went out like weeks ago.
It was like 2 or 3 months or something.
Yeah, something like that. And Helios is like, it's just cheaper for us to send a new one than to risk sending somebody up there, because the satellite doesn't have like docking points or connection points, and like it was built to not be tampered with, which I got a feeling will come in at some point later. Just wait for that. There'll be some secret bullshit going on. So Danielle took the risk and sent somebody up, and oh, look at that, it works now. So Miles the whole time is like fixing somebody's like AC, and he's like communicating, like receiving videos from his family, like completely like buffered, and he's like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah, but that guy told him to fix his toilet too, because it stopped up. So
it
was keep Miles occupied.
He's like Mark Wahlberg on Deepwater Horizon. Now, what about the shitters? Oh, that ain't my job. That's engineering. I ain't got nothing to do with shitters.
Well, it reminded me of the Deepwater Horizon, and like, and I'm like, has Billy Baton Rouge worked before? Because he's like, you see my paycheck? Like, what's this money taken out of it? And like uniforms and all that. I'm like, yeah. When I worked those kind of jobs at plants, if you had like a uniform, or I think when I worked at Kroger or something, I got like a shirt. or a schmuck and they take it out of your paycheck, or like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is normal things. Like, he's like, oh
Yeah,
my
he
god,
got
I
his.
gotta pay for the food on the boards. Like, yeah,
I
this
gotta
is
I gotta pay for this swill. Like, this is garbage. Like, yeah, he gets his first paycheck and it's like uh living quarters, toothpaste, like all this shit that he just can't believe isn't just like fucking free. Um, he's like outraged and he's like, I'm gonna do something about it. So he like goes to uh like Palmer James, like their boss or whatever.
yeah.
And of course, like Ed walks up and he's like, that's not the way it was when I was, like he was telling Daniel earlier. He was like, it was like going like exploring, it was doing our job.
Yeah, in my notes I wrote old man Ed, because it was like,
Yeah, dude, yeah.
I started thinking, because like at work I had this the other day. I had a moment with my boss, and we were talking about something. I think it was like starting salaries of people come out of college, and we're like, oh my god, when I was that age, I came out and I made this, and I'm like old man Ed, I'm like just sitting there going, he's like, you should be happy that you're up here shoveling my shit,
Right.
because
Yeah.
when I was on a tin can with Coos and Danny over here, and hell, hell, Gordo and Tracy had to duct tape themselves to go outside, and they died. Like,
Do you know what it's like
so.
sharing a cabin with Gordo Stevens?
Who was
It's
the one that
gross.
always smoked? That was Tracy.
Yeah, I think it was Tracy. Yeah.
But then, like
So good.
last episode, but at least Ed found the weed, last episode or whatever that was. He's
Yeah.
rolling smoke out of his
Yeah,
little
he's chiefing it. Yeah,
hat.
Ed like fully like doesn't hear him, just dresses him down like it's the military. He's like takes some fucking personal responsibility and like he's just like, see you later, dude. Just brushes him off completely. So it's like I think you and I both agree, like some serious shit's gonna happen, like where Dale is like the leader of a revolution.
Yeah, what'll be interesting is I don't think he's that smart to lead the revolution.
Oh, he'll
Um,
certainly be the first one to die in the fire. Like he'll be like right on the front line. He'll be the first one to go down.
yeah, they're giving us a lot of Dale.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
lot. But yeah, he like had this whole thing with Ed, and then he like walks off, and um, the Ed like gets fixed, so he like tries to put a video together to send to his kids, and he's just like bullshitting the whole time. And like his like roommate's like, "Oh, that was pathetic,"
yeah,
and then that's
is he say that's all bull? Doesn't he stop himself and then start telling the truth, or does it cut off when he starts? I was trying to remember the end of the
yeah.
episode, but
I think he like stops it, and he's gonna like restart it, and he's like, "Oh, that's all bullshit."
yeah,
And that's where you see like their like underground uh their underground beer putsch. Since you're watching World War II stuff, this is their
yeah,
beer hall where the like revolution is going to take place. It's
yes,
Ilya's
it's
underground bar. It's the beer putsch.
yeah, it's the failed putsch of the start of the Nazi.
Yeah,
They, yeah,
Miles will wind up in space prison. Like, oh, it's gonna be great.
he's gonna invent the space holocaust. He's he's gonna build a concentration camp for Ed and any
The
former
original
astronaut.
space people.
Yeah, yeah. All the it's Danny's gonna be out there like in the Korean
Oh
lab.
yeah,
Uh, he's gonna go get him. Danny's gonna show up with like some Martians, and I don't know.
right. You know you just brought that up. That reminds me. So we haven't seen Danny
Yeah,
Stevens. But during the walkthrough of the facility, we saw that the North Koreans have their own little
secret.
prohibited area, right? That only they can enter. And
You
um,
they and they spent like he had to tell Miles like 3 times, don't go in there,
yeah,
or like they spent a lot of time on that. So some
yeah,
reason Miles is gonna go in there, and you know,
yeah. There were three things: sealant, oxygen, and don't go in that room. So I'm like, okay,
yeah.
let's hit all three of these before the end of the season. Got it.
Well, it's
So
interesting. Yeah,
with the North Koreans having that off offsite quarters or whatever, restricted access area. Is Danny Stevens hanging out over there? Is he like PO? Is he a POW? Is he a refugee? Is he seeking asylum in North Korea?
Oh, well, that's interesting. No, you have a good point because now the North Koreans are up there, right? So
yeah,
Danielle and Ed know they marooned Danny there with food and gun and all that. Now there's more North Koreans up here. Do you think they came up to that original location and found Danny in there, and then when they all started working together, they brought him and to they have a little prison cell inside of there, or said Danny seeking asylum, or he's running the show in there.
He's the man behind the curtain. It could be something like that. That'd be really interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
then we see the North Korean astronaut from last season. His commander or whatever was saying basically don't talk to, don't say hi to Danielle or just like hello.
Yeah, he's like, act properly. And he's like, hi, bye. Yeah. Yeah, Lee was his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Lee. Yeah.
I
should probably look at the cheat sheet that you make with all the things on it.
I don't think I included him on there, but I've got it in this synopsis, so it works out. But yeah, I think that was it for Miles. Like the last we saw, he was like swigging like distilled vodka out of like Ilya's bar, beer pushed. But yeah, Danielle got to Mars and she takes over Happy Valley, has a nice little speech about coups and all this stuff, and I literally laughed at the end and said, I'm pretty sure that could have just been a fucking email. But we all had to walk to the conference room anyway.
Yeah, well, she's the new CEO. She's coming in and making her mark.
Yeah.
So she did a good job. I mean, she's turning stuff around.
True.
I was kind of expecting, like, when they were repairing the satellite thing, that it would blow up and more people would die, and then Ed and her would have the same body count. But he seems to be the best one. I mean, if you look back at all the astronauts, she's like over the 3-4 seasons now, she seems to be the smartest one of them all.
I agree. She's the most level, like the most like level keel, even keeled, and like smartest, and like wisest. Like Ed is just like and everybody else was just like
Yeah.
But yeah, they fixed the satellite. It took like 7+ hours.
And we have all this stuff going on back on Earth now.
Yeah, let me see if there's anything else. Restart.
Anything else from space?
Oh, yeah, I love how like Danielle. I like how the topsiders. I'm gonna call them surface people. Topsiders. I love how they like got like Alfredo pasta, like on like nice plates, and the people down below had like frozen TV dinners nuked. It was so funny just to see the difference.
The surface people versus the mole people.
Yeah.
Now,
did you notice that they had the TV on and there was a soccer game
from like 1975 or something like that? Yeah.
It was around that time. It was 2003, 2004, right? That's around the time that this is going on. My money, it was the Champions League final, Liverpool versus Inter Milan, and Liverpool came back to win in shootout.
It looked, because it was red and blue, so I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you think Danny was rooting for, or Danielle was rooting for? She seemed excited about the match.
Yeah, she seemed pretty stoked about it.
It's like, what's this commie sport on TV?
Don't get no football up here, American football.
Yeah. When the Houston Oilers playing the St. Louis Rams.
Oh, and that team left like 3 years ago. Holy shit! I've been off Earth for 8 years and they move.
Maybe I should go see my granddaughter.
Right? Yeah, Ed is not going home. That's not going to happen.
He's going home in a body bag.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Put him in a body bag.
Yeah, I think that's everything up in space. Was there anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, I think we got the big things happen in space, and then we had a lot of stuff happen on the ground.
Yep.
The new director of NASA seems to be making a lot of cost cuts.
Yep, Daniel Stern.
Yeah. So things are changing. Kelly's robotics program was cut, and so she goes and drinks at a bar and runs into Alita, who we find,
which used to be
not the bar where her adopted mom fucked.
Yeah.
And
now it's a Tex-Mex. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the place where she hooked up with high schooler. Yeah.
Cool. Now it's a Nymphas or it's a
Los Cucos. Yeah.
And so we find out Alita is, she's struggling with flashbacks from the bombing and struggling.
Doesn't want to go back to work.
No, Margot doesn't want to go back to work. Hadn't been to work in like 30-some days or 3 months or whatever we're finding it. I guess 3 months maybe, because now I think that makes sense in your timing, because I think her husband says you haven't been in 3 months. And so now you got Miles on the moon or on Mars. And she was having flashbacks like during the Mars operation, right? So
when the asteroid. Yeah.
So I mean that makes sense with your timing. So but she goes back to Daniel Stern and he's like, come back whenever you're ready. And she's like, I'm ready. And it's like, oh, welcome back. And then she's like, never mind, I quit.
Who does she think she is? Like Adam Scott at Parks and Rec, just quitting on the accounting firm all the time? No way.
Yeah.
She walks out just like, yeah, this was a mistake. I shouldn't be here. And then she winds up at that Mexican restaurant with Kelly.
Yeah, they get hammered, and then next morning, what was Alita doing? She was making something or fixing something.
Yeah, Alita was, their TV wouldn't work, so she like took it all apart like the night before. And her husband was like, you got to do something. So then she was like, all right, I'll go back to work or whatever. And it bailed on that. And they got back. It's like Kelly wakes up on their couch, like hungover as shit. And then goes in there and like finds Alita's putting together a funding proposal for taking her search for life technology or whatever mission. Search for water. Yeah. Private. They'll get funding and then they'll do it privately. And they seem to be going off on that tangent. So
so it'll be interesting to see how that, because you already have a private company in Helios.
Right.
And then so NASA was doing this research. Helios is trying to mine stuff. I think it'd be interesting to see we have a new private outfit come into play. Is there characters we haven't seen yet that are on our list? But unless it's just Dev.
Yeah.
Dev, new company, I bet they'll probably propose. I bet you Alita and Kelly propose to Dev, and Dev's like, Kelly, your mom was our greatest CEO before she got blown up by the brother of the high schooler that she had sex with in the Mexican restaurant. You guys just ate at. So
it's all full circle in this show. It's so good. Dev's got that robotics company, which is the robot like dog that they were using for the testing of the like cavern scans and stuff like that. So I had a feeling she'll wind up working for Dev at whatever his company's name is. That's a good call.
I think it's called Boston Robotics.
Yeah.
That's the name. Was that the one with the real dog, the yellow dog?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do Kelly and Alita, do either of them go to space? I mean, Kelly's been. Does she go back to space? Does Alita go to space for the first time?
Oh, great question.
That's a tough one.
I would say no to Kelly because she has the baby, but her dad's never come home from space, so maybe like Ed,
she's got to go get him.
like Ed, yeah, she's like, I'm getting this fucker, or he gets stabbed by Miles, and it's on his deathbed, but he's not gonna die for 3 months, so she can take one last trip to be with him.
She'll catch the red eye to Mars. Yeah,
or her and the space baby are gonna go because he was conceived on Mars.
That's true.
It would take him to the home planet.
Yeah, his native planet. Does she go to Mars and her mother-in-law like takes the baby back to Russia, and that's how
Margot raises her.
Yeah. The next like space genius scientist. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So I think I agree. I think they're gonna work. They're gonna propose. Dev's gonna agree. They're gonna work with Dev. But Kelly or Lita have to go to the moon with for this project.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. And then Margot, we see Margot at the very end.
Best part of the show.
Great. This is like my most question of what's going on. You and I have vastly different, I think, ideas of what's going to happen next. Well, no, when we were talking about it, you after the show, because Margot.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Margot, she wakes up. The state TV isn't channel's not working or something. It's on.
It's just Swan Lake. It's just all the channels were playing Swan Lake and like white static. Yeah.
She looks outside. Her followers not out there. Her government tail.
Yeah, her KGB guy's not there. Yeah.
The streets are kind of empty.
Her phone wasn't working.
Yeah. And she goes down to the bakery, and the bakery guy's like, take your bread and leave.
Nobody else in line. There was like nobody. Yeah. There was like limited bread. Yeah.
Go to the park, and her little newsstand guy is being harassed by some kind of police. And a bunch of people crowd around, and it's like, where's Gorbachev? So there's some kind of coup happening or government takeover. But I think in some of the shorts, and maybe at the beginning of the first episode, leading, the 10 years before, there's Gorbachev has some opposition. I think it's a communist party guy, probably, or I forget.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing you see is like Margot get caught up in the crowd, like get beat to the ground or whatever. So, like,
they like throw tear gas in, and that guy's getting like just wailed on, and Margot's like, stop it, like grabs the cop, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, I barely can walk, but I'm gonna. So, what do you think? Because we had last episode, the lady she met on the bench was like, call me, you'll find out soon. I think that, she's been on the sideline with the Gorbachev regime and the space program there. I think that that lady knew the coup was coming, and then she's going to install Margot for some reason in charge of the space program. I don't know why. Do they want to take their own independent path and not work with the U.S.? Is this going to kick off like a Cold War space race? I mean, you had the space race already that Russia won. Are we going back to that from the 60s?
Right.
So I don't know. I think Margot's going to be kind of asked or forced to play a role now to elevate their program.
Yep, I agree. She's been on the sideline. They haven't used her. This lady, after she goes to Star City, just happens to be on the same bench and is like, wait for the spring when the ice thaws, which is probably like 3 months, give or take. And she leaves the card with the bird food or whatever, and she hasn't called her that we know of. But yeah, she's been arrested now. Like, yeah, that was the first thing that I thought was like, oh, it's a coup. The phones are down. The news is out. They're shutting down like newspapers. Like, there's nobody on the streets for the most part. Like, Gorbachev's dead. If he's not dead, he's already in the gulag, like in Serbia, like cracking rocks with a pickaxe. And of course now Margot has intervened and touched a cop, and she'll probably get arrested. She's gotten arrested. Her glasses break, whatever. She'll probably wind up in a pretty precarious spot, and then miraculously have that card with that phone number on it. And I don't know if they get the right to call somebody, but she'll somehow get picked up by that lady.
Well, I think kind of along the same lines, but I think you'll see when they cut back to what happened, like one of the people there telling them to clear the streets is like, you know, one of the coup people, and he grabs her and whisks her away, you know, throws her in a car, takes them to their location, and then, or, you know, or shows up with her at, they show up at Star City and with Margot and a bunch of armed, you know, armed people, and they're like, we're taking over. And then they're like, all right, Margot, do your thing. He's like, I need a pencil and a paper.
Yeah.
And a piano.
Dostoevsky, Margot, Madison.
I need Alita Rosales. And the other
Kelly
guy.
Baldwin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Russian guy that I saved by coming to Russia. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy that worked with Kelly, that worked with Alita, Bill, what was his name? That they don't, did he die in the explosion?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think he did. That's a good question. I'll have to go back.
Where is he? Yeah.
Oh, didn't he? He went to work for Helios.
Yeah, he was in Helios.
Yeah.
So.
What did we call him? Piss pants. Because he pissed his pants while he was working the console during Apollo, whatever. Yeah. I always called him piss pants. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't imagine she winds up working on the side of a coup on the communist side. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Maybe she winds up in the gulag with Gorbachev, sharing a cell.
I think Bill was his name, Bill Strouser. Bill. I think that she'll end up, you know, I think she can use the coup people to her advantage, because she could, if they take over, she could get the her Russian boyfriend back.
Not only that, the current leadership that she agreed for asylum for is no longer in power. So maybe she has to flee and seek asylum on the moon or Mars.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't imagine she's going to go back to the U.S. because she'd face treason and it's all felonies and stuff that she did. So maybe she ditches it. She catches the last bus out of Star City, the last chopper out of Star City.
That's right. She has asylum from the Gorbachev regime for helping them out. So yeah, maybe she is thrown in a Siberian prison with the Stranger Things people, with the
with Hopper and
the little
Hopper. Yeah, the Demogorgon. Yeah, I really enjoyed the end of this episode with like the coup that we suspect is going on, and like she's been picked up. $20, she gets picked up by one of these cops, right? And she winds up with that lady. Like they pulled her out specifically. And she's not in prison or something like that. She's like at Star City or some shit. But it'd be interesting to see what they do. I don't know where they're going to go with it, but I think it all has to do with, you know, the Mars 7, you know, committee has basically failed with mining the capturing of the asteroid, and the attempt at mining it has failed. Right now, Russia's out, you know, probably billions of dollars. So now they're going to take it for themselves. Screw everybody else. We got to get our money out of it. And that's what the communists are going to do, probably. They don't want anything to do with the union. So that'd be my money.
Yeah. Well, especially, I think especially after Kuz just died. And, you know, you have Ed Baldwin is a disaster. And then the other NASA people aren't up to snuff. I mean, Danielle is fine. Yeah. So good point.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't wait. It's coming Friday, which is Black Friday after Thanksgiving. So it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I when compared to last season, how it took them so long to get where we wanted them to go, we're like this season started smack dab in the middle of like where we wanted it. It's so good.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts on For All Mankind?
No, it's off to a flying start. Yeah. I'm just curious to see where Billy Baton Rouge's arc goes.
Yeah, where is his line in all of this? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he like declares sovereignty on the meteor. He's like, "This is my planet now. Fuck off!" Like,
he cuts like the net around it and starts floating off with it. Like, it's mine. I'm taking.
I call it New Baton Rouge. Nothing else for me. Appreciate everybody for kicking it with us this week. Check out the podcast platforms. Check out our Instagram at Can We Kick It Pod. Check out the website, kickingitmedia.com. And his cousin likes to say,